Hi, I'm Dwayne Brown. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, Governor Jerry Brown unveils his new budget proposal with more money for education and none of the deficits we've seen for years.
The city attorney is our attorney, so we can direct him on things. If the city council and the mayor agree that he should not be using this zoning stuff, to persecute people, then we can say that to him, and he can't do it.
Mayor Bob Filner gets into another tiff with another city official. I'm Amita Sharma. We'll tell you what's behind it, and we'll take a look at what might happen to the governor's budget proposal in the state legislature.
Carl DeMaio is off the San Diego City Council, but he's not giving up his crusade to reform government. We'll tell you what's next for the one-time mayoral candidate. And researchers say the hard knocks of pro football appear to have taken their toll on Junior Seau. KPBS Evening Edition starts now.
KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Irwin Jacobs and by
Hi, good evening. Thanks for joining us. It's a sign of better fiscal times for California. Governor Jerry Brown has proposed a new budget 5% higher than this year's spending plan. It includes more money for public schools and universities and something the state hasn't had for a long time, a surplus of $850 million. But Brown says the surplus doesn't mean the state can spend more.
I am determined to avoid the fiscal mess that the last few governors had to deal with. And the only way you avoid it is by holding the line, by exercising a common sense approach to how we spend our money. We've achieved the position we're in because of tough cuts Democrats didn't like to make, but they did. And then the people voted for taxes. By the way, the cuts are about 3 times more than the taxes. But we have to live within the means we have. Otherwise, we get to that situation where you get red ink and then we go back to cuts. So I want to avoid the boom and the bust, the borrow and the spend, where we make the promise and then we take it back.
Now, here's a look at some of the numbers. The total state budget is $145 billion. Most of it's in the general fund, which pays for education, social services, and prisons, among other things. The budget includes special dedicated funds and $7.2 billion in bond funding. California's Republican Party is skeptical about the new budget. In a written statement, Chairman Tom Del Barcaro says it's easy for Governor Brown to tout austerity and fiscal restraint when he has more of the taxpayers' money in his pocket. He also says he's disappointed job creation was never mentioned and cutting the regulatory burden was ignored. And he says working with Republicans to unify the state is sadly not part of Brown's agenda. The new budget could dramatically change the way the state funds education. Right now, a lot of school funding is based on specific programs. Brown's plan distributes the money on a per-student basis instead. Officials at San Diego Unified say it makes their jobs a little more complex, but they say it's a step in the right direction. The budget proposal now goes to the state legislature. Amita Sharma is in for Peggy Pico tonight with a look at what might happen next.
I'm joined by political scientist Carl Luna. Carl, the governor said today there is no longer a deficit. How stunning is this news? And more importantly, how accurate is it?
Well, what's a billion here, a billion there? We might be a couple billion behind. We might ultimately be a billion ahead. If the Facebook public offering had been as big as it was supposed to be, we'd be definitely breaking even. The remarkable thing is that we went from a $25 billion deficit down to near zero this year.
Now, this budget also includes $500 million both for the Cal State and UC schools. Is this enough to avert tuition hikes?
Yeah, tuition has been going up steadily over the last 20 years because we don't put as much into as a proportion of costs the UCs and states that we used to. Some of the UCs, 93% of their funding comes from outside of the state general fund. So It's nice they got more money. They wanted around $300 million each. They needed at least $125 million each. They got around $250. It's a lot better than it has been the last few years. It's still not restoring it to the level of funding you saw back in the 80s and the 90s.
Now, this spending plan also includes hundreds of millions of dollars for K through 12 schools under a new formula that would actually give more money to schools who have children from low-income families and children who come from families where English is a second language. How much opposition is this plan going to face in the state legislature?
There's going to be a lot of opposition, and it's going to be more behind the scenes. Nobody wants to come out and say they don't want to give more money to poor neighborhoods, but nobody wants the money to come from them. You always want it to come from some external source. California, before this Great Recession, was 28th or 26th in the nation for per capita student funding. We're now down to 35th, 36th. So everybody has seen their share of the money go down. That you're not going to give and restore everybody to where they were before the recession, before you start reallocating. If Governor Brown can pull off that feat, he is a political Houdini.
And speaking of restoration of cuts, we have seen deep cuts over the last several years to social services. The governor made clear today those cuts are not going to be restored. What does that mean? Will they ever be restored?
You know, every cycle we go through, you kind of look back at the previous plateau you were at and went, wow, who knew those were the good years? Until we get a more stable funding base, we're too dependent upon the volatility in personal income, for example, coming in, for stock income that comes in. We're going to go through these cycles, and the bottom line is with an aging population in particular, there's going to be ongoing pressure for a lot of our social service nets.
Now, the governor made it very clear that it is time for California to embark on fiscal discipline. This has been a major theme of this. Clearly, this is a message to Democrats not to get carried away, not to think that the state is flush with cash. How likely are they to heed this message?
That'll be another interesting test of the governor's ability. We have probably the best mix you could have with a supermajority of Democrats in Sacramento. You have a liberal governor who is determined to be more conservative on fiscal matters. He is kind of like Richard Nixon going to China. If anybody can rein in the state legislature, Jerry Brown's probably best equipped to do so. He did push through that major change on funding of retirement for for state employees, which most people didn't think he'd get through.
But there is going to be a lot of pressure from a variety of groups here to restore the cuts. How do lawmakers resist this pressure?
The best advantage that Jerry Brown has is that there is going to be a lot of pressure from everybody, and then you play everybody off of each other so that nobody will get what they want without other people getting what they want. If everybody can't get what they want, maybe they'll agree to take less.
And where do the Republicans fit in this entire battle, looming battle?
Nevada and Arizona, mostly. Do we actually have Republicans left in California? It's one of the problems the Republican Party has. By going so far to the right in many of the elections in recent years, they marginalize their voice on Capitol Hill. They can support the governor and his initiatives, but it's going to be the governor and the Democrats who decide things, unless Republicans can grab a more moderate stance in some of these issues of spending.
Is there any indication that they are grabbing a more moderate stance?
Well, the governor did get a lot of applause from Republicans on this budget, more than he had in previous years, maybe more enthusiasm than he got from the Democrats. A lot will depend on how many votes he needs out of the Republican caucus to be able to get his view of the budget through. If Republicans can meet with moderate Democrats, they may become more relevant.
Carl Luna, thank you so much for speaking to us today.
Good to be here.
While the governor was unveiling his budget in Sacramento, State Controller John Chung was meeting with business and elected leaders in San Diego's North County, telling them creating new jobs is key to maintaining a state budget surplus. KPBS reporter Allison St. John attended the meeting hosted by the San Diego North Chamber of Commerce. Allison, what was Chung's message today?
Well, he said that California is the world's 9th largest economy, and it's turning around. He said the state's recovering faster than the rest of the country, even if it doesn't feel like it sometimes. And this year, he said, for the first time in a while, the state is able to pay 188 school districts their money on time. He said he's been borrowing from the state's Emergency Preparedness Fund. But he said that California has only regained about half the jobs it lost since 2007, about 600,000 compared to 1.3 million jobs lost. And he talked about the state's tax code needing to be redrawn to pick winners and losers, essentially to encourage more promising industries to create more jobs, because that's the key to the state's recovery.
And were there any specific industries Mahey mentioned, or rather mentioned?
Well, yes, indeed. The one highlighted at the meeting was production of unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs, otherwise known as drones. According to a study by a national university, UAV production brought an estimated $1.3 billion a year in federal defense contracts into the San Diego economy and has generated over 7,000 jobs, most of those in North San Diego County. And the salaries are good, too, much better than San Diego's hospitality industry. The average salary for a UAV engineer is about $88,000 a year. A spokesman from Northrop Grumman said spending on aerial unmanned vehicles is predicted to double worldwide over the next decade, and more than half of that will be spent somewhere in the United States. However, the San Diego North Chamber of Commerce made the point that other states are gearing up to compete for these lucrative jobs, and so speakers at the meeting stressed the importance of creating a good environment, a good business environment with low taxes to avoid losing the industry to other states like Oklahoma, Florida, and South Dakota.
KPBS reporter Allison St. John. Former City Councilman Carl DeMaio didn't win the race to be San Diego's mayor, but he says he'll stay involved in city government. He plans to head up two watchdog groups, one focused on state government, the other concentrating on San Diego's government. It's a return to familiar territory. Before taking public office, DeMaio created businesses teaching efficiency to government agencies and private businesses. The man who once led a local consumer watchdog group is now suing it. Michael Shame says his reputation was damaged by the Utility Consumers Action Network. He was forced out of UCAN last year amid accusations of taking unapproved bonuses and keeping secret bank accounts. Shames denies the charges. A high school teacher in the Central Valley is credited with defusing a campus shooting before it got worse. It happened this morning at Taft Union High School in Kern County. A 16-year-old student walked into a classroom with a shotgun, shot one student, and fired at another but missed. A teacher talked him into surrendering. The wounded student is in critical but stable condition tonight. Investigators don't know the motive for the shooting. Longtime Chargers linebacker Junior Seau is the newest member on a dubious list. Former football players who suffered from a brain disease linked to repeated head trauma. But KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg tells us the connection between Seau's suicide and his condition is unclear.
Junior Seau's family actually requested the examination of his brain, and the National Institutes of Health said they found evidence that Seau had a degenerative brain disease that's linked to repeated head trauma. These findings are consistent with a condition known as CTE. Now, doctors say CTE is linked with memory loss, depression, and dementia. Boston University is one of the centers where they study this condition, and they say they found the condition in the brains of 18 of 19 former NFL players that they've examined. Thousands of former players have sued the NFL over its handling of concussion-related injuries. And in response to the Seau findings, the NFL says the league needs to do more research into the cause of CTE.
KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg. NFL teams have given a $30 million research grant to the National Institutes of Health to find out more about CTE.
San Diego Mayor Bob Filner and City Attorney Jan Goldsmith butt heads this week over medical marijuana. At the heart of the dispute is whether the city can finally find a way for pot dispensaries to exist in San Diego so that people who need marijuana for medicinal uses can get access. Joining me now is City Attorney Jan Goldsmith and Eugene Davidovich with San Diego Americans for Safe Access. We did invite Mayor Filner to be on the show today. He was unavailable. Here's what he said at an Americans for Safe Access meeting on Tuesday.
The city attorney is our attorney, so we can direct him on things. If the city council and the mayor agree that he should not be using this zoning stuff, to persecute people, then we can say that to him, and he can't do it.
Jan, The mayor used some pretty harsh language over the prosecutions of these dispensaries for zoning violations. He said you haven't been helpful. He said you're a little guy who maybe could be intimidated. You've shot back and said, look, there's no need for drama. It takes 30 seconds to change this. Just this morning, he wrote a letter to code enforcement asking them to stop these prosecutions, to stop citing these dispensaries. Is that enough?
It's probably too much. The first part's too much. The letter itself was enough. The only reason why we are pursuing these cases is because we are asked to do that by San Diego Police Department and Neighborhood Code Compliance Unit, both of which are under his direction, the mayor's direction. So the mayor simply instructs them not to send us cases. There's no cases to pursue. We get our evidence from them. We don't go out there and check to see if there's zoning violations. We rely on those agencies to send us requests to enforce the ordinances. It's up to the mayor as to whether they do that.
We're at the start of his term. You've been there for 4 years, but we're at the start of the mayor's term. How would you characterize your relationship with the mayor?
I think it's a period of adjustment, and I think he needs some slack, and I'm giving him some slack. I don't take personal offense at this point. I think he needs that time to adjust from being a congressman, kind of advocate, rabble-rouser, whatever you want to be, to a mayor, and being mayoral and leadership. I think this little episode, if there's one thing that we learn from that, is that he's mayor, he has certain powers and authority. When he has them, I'm going to acknowledge him as I have.
I want to talk
when
about...
we have ours, though, we're going to do it.
I want to talk about your powers. You've been city attorney for 4 years. Have you ever drafted and proposed an ordinance that would allow these dispensaries to exist within the law?
Actually, Mary Nuesco is one of our chief deputies, worked on the task force that put together the ordinance, and we're happy to do that, but it's not our role to decide whether to adopt an ordinance. That's the city council and the mayor.
But some would argue that you're the legal advisor to the city, that voters have said that they are okay with these dispensaries and that it is the job of the city attorney. I just want to move on real quickly.
Well, let me respond to that, because our job is to enforce the zoning code when we receive information and requests from the administration to enforce those codes. Whether to pass an ordinance to set where dispensaries should be or whether they should be in certain areas, that's a function for the mayor and the city council, and I'm going to respect that.
Okay, Eugene, so the mayor has said he'll craft an ordinance, but you know, the city council did this back in 2011. It was repealed. What makes you think it won't happen now?
Well, I applaud the mayor for his movement forward on this issue. This is a huge step forward. We have finally are starting to see a stop to the continued waste of our taxpayers' dollars on these 100+ lawsuits to shut down dispensaries, rather than to create a regulation that would actually facilitate where they could be, how patients could get their medicine, and regulate this issue. And just as quickly as it took for the mayor to write the letter to Mr. Goldsmith's office, I think it would be just as easy for Mr. Goldsmith's office to write recommendations and an ordinance to the mayor and to the city council for how dispensaries should be regulated in the city of San Diego. This would significantly speed up the process.
But even if this happens, is the elephant in the room, is not the elephant in the room the U.S. Attorney's Office, who's made it quite clear and has proven that she will shut down these dispensaries? How is that circumvented? Medical
marijuana has been legal in the state of California since 1996. Dispensaries are legal. The sales of medical marijuana is legal. It's unfortunate that the Laura Duffy has decided to waste federal resources on shutting folks down, but I think that is a side issue, and what's important is safe access for patients in San Diego, and in order to provide that, as the mandate in the state law requires, we need regulations at the city council level. And we're going to have to wind it up there, and I do want to say that we asked Laura Duffy to come on the program. She declined. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Jeffrey Brown. On the next NewsHour, President Obama taps White House Chief of Staff Jack Lew to be the next Treasury Secretary. That's Thursday on the PBS NewsHour.
Last year, the film I Am Not a Hipster screened at a special sidebar at the Sundance Film Festival. It was made by a pair of San Diego State University Film School graduates. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando has an update on their project.
In 5, 4.
I I Am Not a Hipster is an independent film shot in San Diego and set against the backdrop of the San Diego indie music scene.
There's a lot of buzz about you in the indie scene, and there's so many musicians I know that would just kill to trade places with you.
You mean they want to make no money and be mildly successful to a small group of people?
The film takes place entirely in San Diego, and the cool thing is it's a movie about the art community in San Diego, and it's made by the art community in San Diego.
The film was made by SDSU graduates Destin Cretton and Ron Nager and premiered last January at Sundance.
We were really excited to take this little movie that was just shot right here in San Diego up to Sundance and premiere it in the snow. And now we're really excited to bring it back to San Diego for our final San Diego screening before we release the movie into the world.
And that meant distributing the film themselves and booking it into one theater at a time.
There's a lot of mom and pop theaters all over the country that love playing independent films. Also with, I think, the digital age coming about, there's so many platforms now for independent films like iTunes, Amazon. There's just so many things happening that's both old and new, and it's just like juggling the two and figuring out what is the best overall thing for us. And I think for Hipster, we got it into 10 theaters nationally. We're going to be on 7 digital platforms. We're going to be on cable VOD in like 50 million homes, all on like January 15th.
Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
I Am Not a Hipster screens tonight at 7 at Landmark's Kin Cinema. It will be followed by a question and answer session with filmmakers and then an after party at the Kin Club. A rare thrill for bird watchers in San Diego's East County. A pair of bald eagles have moved in and are getting ready for family life. This is the first nesting pair of bald eagles in the Ramona area and only the second bald eagle nest in the county. The other one is near Lake Hinshaw.
And we were really excited because we haven't seen nesting bald eagles here in the grasslands before, and they were bringing the sticks to a nest out on the preserve in a eucalyptus tree.
The nest is in the Ramona Grassland Preserve, but it's not open to the public. San Diego Zoo's newest panda cub made his public debut today. You're watching the zoo's video of a media preview yesterday. About 400 people braved the rain this morning to see Zhao Li Wu, also known as Mr. Wu to the zoo staff. He'll be on display from 9:30 to 11:30 each morning. It was a chilly, windy day to be out and about. Take a look. This video was taken outside the KPBS studios at San Diego State as a cold front blew through the county today. Now looking ahead, cloudy again tomorrow, but we should start clearing up by the weekend along the coast. The weekend will be cold and partly cloudy in the inland sections with nighttime temperatures in the low 30s. More wind is expected for the mountains tomorrow with temperatures down in the 20s at night and mid-50s in the desert through Sunday. With our chilly weather, it might warm us up a bit to think back to the days of summer baseball. In fact, if you go back far enough to the old minor league, San Diego Padres, there was one-of-a-kind locally made ice cream found everywhere in San Diego, especially at the ballpark. That's where Ken Kramer begins tonight's story about San Diego.
Here's a story about Willard B. Hage, and this is a good picture of him. Came to San Diego in the early 1890s.
He is my great-great-uncle.
Back in the day, his great-great-uncle had a very famous name because Hage's Dairy Products operated for decades. Even now, a lot of people remember it.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Typically older generations.
Here's a picture from 1895. Matter of fact, look here. They had what is believed to be the first motorized truck in San Diego. Used to be you'd see the name Hage everywhere. Here's a delivery truck in 1916 with, you can see, Balboa Park in the background. Anyway, eventually they set up a processing plant. Here it is at the corner of 9th and K. Inside they had offices where the friendly staff was waiting and happy to help you. They had big machines that made ice cream and added different things, nuts and chocolate and so on. And the refrigeration room where the ice cream was kept until it was shipped. The milk processing plant, the trucks and all of this was at the corner of 9th and K. Remember that address, 9th and K, because we're coming back here. Meantime, William Hage, the great-great-grandnephew, has got an incredible collection of things from the days of Hage's Dairy Products.
This bottle here probably is circa late teens, early 1920s.
He's got signs that advertised Hages and a Dixie cup.
Not only does it have the wax cup intact, but it also had the lid completely intact.
You opened it up and there was a picture of a movie star. It was great, but here's the thing. Where Hages really did a lot of their promotion was at Padre games. You went to see the Padres, you saw that name Hage.
You would purchase popcorn, and in the popcorn boxes you would receive a baseball card.
With a picture on one side and on the other, there you go, an ad for Hages.
The Hages logo appears on the back of those cards, are now known as the Hages Dairy Baseball Card Collection.
Kids at the game might be wearing pins identifying them as members of Hages Ice Cream Brigade Club. Each one had their own number. The story is that Hages just loved baseball and the Padres, and we can guess the feeling was mutual. Which brings us back here to the very center of Hages production, the place that was where all their products were made and distributed, 9th and K, remember? Today, 9th would be right about here, and K would be right about there, and the Hages plant would be right about there at Petco Park. You gotta love it.
The processing plant resides exactly where center field of Petco Park is today.
Things having come full circle for Willard B. Hage and this story about San Diego.
If you want to see more of Ken's stories about San Diego, his half-hour show can be seen tonight and every Thursday night at 8 right here on KPBS. Recapping tonight's top stories, Governor Jerry Brown has proposed a new state budget with the first surplus we've seen in years. The total plan is $145 billion. Most of it's in the general fund, which pays for education, social services, and prisons, among other things. The budget includes special dedicated funds and $7.2 billion in bond money. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. You have a great night.